He who dwells in the shelter of the Most High will find rest in the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge, my God and my shield, in whom I trust. For surely He will save you from the foulest snare, and from the deadly pestilence as well. He will cover over you with His feathers, and there under His wings you will find peace, and His faithfulness will be your shield. Fear the terror of the nighttime, nor the arrow that flies by day, nor the pestilence that stalks in the darkness, nor the plague that destroys at midday. 1,000 may fall at your side, 10,000 may fall at your right hand, but it will not come near you. You will only see, you will only observe when judgment comes. For He commands His angels concerning you to guard you wherever you may go, to be with you and lift you in their hands, so that you won't strike your foot against a stone. Well, if you make the Most High your dwelling, even the Lord who is my refuge, and surely no great harm will befall you, no disaster will come there near your home. For He commands His angels concerning you to guard you wherever you may go, to be with you and lift you in their hands, so that you won't strike your foot against a stone. You will tread upon the lion and the cobra, and trample upon the serpent's head. You will tread upon the lion and the cobra, and trample upon the serpent's head. Because He loves me, says the Lord, I will rescue Him. I will protect Him, for He knows my name. He will call on me and I will answer. I will be with him always, and I will honor him. And with a long, long, long life, I will satisfy him with long life. With a long, long, long life, I will show him my salvation. With a long, long, eternal life, I will satisfy him with long life. With a long, long, eternal life, I will show him my salvation. With a long, long, long life, I will satisfy him with long life.
All right, welcome back, everybody. God bless you all in Jesus' mighty name. Going on in the theme of what we've been covering lately with the generational occult bloodlines throughout Hollywood, I started to notice that a lot of these people were in royal family bloodlines. And so I thought we'd do an entire show on that. And as a matter of fact, I think there'll probably be a part 2 because, again, this is probably going to be a good hour and a half itself. And I kind of only scratched the surface. So with that, let us begin. So we start out today with Queen Bee, Beyonce, who is a descendant of King Henry II of England, making her you guessed it, the 25th cousin of Queen Elizabeth. So if you were ever under or were asking, yourself the question, does America have its own royal families? Seems like we don't. Yes, we do. And that is probably why they all wear the leopard print, which we've been covering over and over and over again of late, which can signify royalty. It can signify beta sex kitten programming. You might want to Google that. I'm not going to take all this time to talk about it. And the Sem priests of Egypt. I know a lot of this is redundant. We've gone over this before, but some people are new to the channel or just new to the information. The Sem priests of Memphis, Egypt, wore leopard skins, and so did a lot of the pharaohs as well, who was basically the high priest of Egypt. And so, yeah, it has ritual connotations to it as well, right? Queen Bee, 25th cousin of Queen Elizabeth, descendant of King Henry II, telling you, I am a royal. I am one of America's royalty.
God bless America.
Ah, yes. Yes. Here's Beyonce throwing up the 3 6s, right? Over her eyeball. Just as, and unfortunately I don't have it queued up, but just as, of course, as Josh Sparrow was pointing out on his channel recently, Susan Atkins of the Manson family, of the Sharon Tate murders, did it in her court hearings. Fun facts. By the way, I just want to say hello to everybody. Let me see before we kind of hop in a little bit further. Yonina, Adrian, Christopher, Tony, Factual, Kevin, and everybody else. God bless you all. Thanks for coming. There it is again. There it is again.
Is this real life?
Yes, Timmy. It is real life. Sorry to inform you. Here is Queen Bee throwing up those old devil horns for you. Sign of the horns, as LeVay liked to call it. Showing her allegiance to the beast that runs your world. In a flesh sense, right? Of course, we all know that Jesus is king. She is again. She's just so rock and roll, right? And we have this, which is the tongue of Kali, the Hindu demoness that likes to behead her lovers' heads and wear them around her neck. Yes. Now, is that literally Kali specifically? No, it's just demon signage is the way we would put it. You know, and again, if you've been watching this channel for any amount of time, you've started to notice that they all tend to like to do this, don't they? I don't know if it's a habit, something sort of uncontrollable, or what, but it's a very distinct manifestation. Next on our list, oh yes, I'm going to abuse the drum roll, is Hillary Duff, whatever. Actress and singer, seen here, of course, on the Masonic checkerboard. She's probably not a Freemason. No. Who is a descendant of, and there's a lot of these, King Henry III. You're going to find a lot of people are related to King Henry III. We've already covered previously how Elle and Dakota Fanning, seen here doing the sign of Osiris Risen, native to both Freemasonry and Ordo Templi Orientis, are descendants of King Henry III in a previous show that we did here. So let's see. What are some of the symptoms? Are there any issues that we might be able to identify with Hillary Duff, right? Oh. See, I need to actually queue up in my soundboard something about optometry. Maybe a clip or a scene from a movie about optometry. That would be appropriate. Yeah, she's just that, or she's just, just a little shy. Oh, she's just shy again. And just like Elle and Dakota, she's royalty, right? She's a pharaoh. You can just imagine, just go ahead and imagine, fill it in for you, like the scepter and the ankh that she's holding there. Osiris Risen. Osiris Risen. She also apparently likes to celebrate the Day of the Dead, a very pagan festival. Because who doesn't like to celebrate morbidity and death? It's just a pleasant, fun experience. I wonder if she, like Dolly Parton, who we covered recently, and Miley and her sister Noah, might also show any signs or symptoms of being a program monarch slave. Here she is, pregnant, at that, adorned in her dress of butterflies. Now, I know there's nothing inherently evil about a butterfly or a leopard, even. But Occult Hollywood loves to embrace these symbols quite a lot. The owl as well. You almost feel bad for these animals and insects that they have to get lumped in with all this garbage. And speaking of the leopard, oh, you guessed it. You guessed it. Hilary Duff seen here, showing her royal bloodlines, right? Descendant of King Henry III.
God bless, God bless America.
Feeling particularly patriotic today. Oh, you guessed it again. And by the way, okay, beyond the leopard print here, you may think that's all that we're showing you. I don't know what this specific pose is, okay? But they all do it. They all do it. It seems to be just, yet again, one more of their interesting sign language that where do they learn this stuff from, right? Do you go to school for this somewhere? I think I know the name of the school. Hogwarts. That's where they go to learn how to do this stuff. It's just, so yeah. So beyond just the leopard print, all your Hollywood celebrities do this. And of course, Hillary has an older sister by the name of Haley Duff. And Haley, who would also be a descendant of King Henry III. Actress and singer. Seen here. Oh, I'm late for it. Oh, I'm late for it. And I didn't mean to hit that again. I meant to hit that one. Seen here in the leopard print. Designating to you her royal ties. Right? Ellen DeGeneres has been in the news of late, right? Let's just go on down to Ellen. Seen here in an eye patch, covering up her eyeball and displaying just one eye for you on her show. She's obviously been in the news because everybody said Ellen's mean, right? She's a little more than that. She is actually related to, well, she's the 15th cousin of the Duchess of Cambridge, Kate Middleton. So beyond just being mean and wearing eye patches on her show, she's 15th cousin of Kate Middleton, who is seen here, the Duchess herself. As if maybe these signs and symbols might have something to do with royal bloodlines. Throwing up the sign of Harpocrates, right? God of silence, native to Crowley's OTO and Thelema. Ellen again, looking particularly disheveled in this here. Got the one eye wink going and just peering at you through an empty milk bottle. They just keep recycling it in many different ways, over and 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 over again. And if you didn't think that was enough, ladies and gentlemen, we have the sign of Osiris risen, as per usual. Are you noticing any themes? Golly gee, I am. Timmy.
Is this real life?
It sure is, bud. It sure is. You can cry on my shoulder now or later. It's really bad. Sign of Osiris risen again in a more subtle way. Right? Sometimes I have actual entire archives of the what I call the covert ways of doing things. Covert vows of silence. Covert signs of Osiris risen. It's really, it's really pathetic. Here's Ye, Kanye, and Ellen. Oh, just hanging out. Just a couple of chums, right? Right. Doing the sign of Tumash Neath. A great sign in Aleister Crowley's OTO. Or as Jay-Z likes to call it, the diamond, right? Here it is. I believe that actually is Aleister Crowley, dressed up in his magical garb. Because, of course, he was a ceremonial magician and known as the Beast 666. That's what he liked to call himself. Appointing himself the chief of staff of Satan. Literally. But apologists today and practitioners at the left-hand path, they almost paint it as like they're Glinda the Good Witch these days. They tell us Mr. Crowley was misunderstood. He was much maligned in the press of his day. Here's another example. These are both from Thelema websites, helping their adepts to learn the ways of their very righteous system of magic. Who do we have next? Brooke Shields. Brooke Shields seen here sucking her thumb, which you may think is just sexual. But actually, you see, the sign of Harpocrates, where they put their finger over their lips, is actually the result of a mistake. Harpocrates is, of course, the Greek and Roman version of the child Horus. And when they were adapting Horus for their own culture, they looked at the Egyptian hieroglyphics and misinterpreted Horus sucking on his thumb and fingers as being a finger over the lips. And so it came to be associated with this secrecy and silence. So it may be a little more than just that. And by the way, many of your Hollywood celebrities like to do this. She is, at any rate, a descendant of King Louis XIV. Right? A lot of royalty going on. A lot of royal bloodlines, right? And Catherine de Medici. And a descendant of William the Conqueror. Right? That's quite a prestigious lineup, you know. And I wonder, can anybody guess, every time you see me reaching over here, you know it's coming, right? Can anybody guess what we might find with Miss Shields? Anyone? Anyone want to take a gander at this one? Oh.
God bless America.
Oh, indeed. God bless spiritual Babylon. It's a beautiful place, isn't it? Seen here in the leopard print. And again. And again. Oh, but that's not all. The Christian rapper Lecrae also likes to do it like this, as do many of them. Let's hold up a shirt while we throw up 3 6s. Look at her eyes, look at her face. She's showing you a little more than her shirt, isn't she? Oh, you're just imagining things. Go back to sleep, please. Brooke Shields seen here doing the Eye of Horus in a very creepy way. Again, God bless everybody that has come into the broadcast. Appreciate you guys coming. And then this. Now you would think that this is nothing, right? And it might be. Right? She's just kind of happy to be celebrating her birthday, I guess. Or somebody else is maybe celebrating their birthday. I don't know. But I want you to pay attention to how she's posing, right? Because that actually is, again, oh, you guessed it, part of Crowley's OTO. This is known as Air Shu, the god Shu supporting the sky. I know, it's insane. It's kind of hard to grasp. And again, it's not nearly as large of an archive as the Eye of Horus and things like that, but a lot of your Hollywood celebs like to pose like this sometimes. And we see these things and we're just like, oh, why would it register? Right? Why would it register? Oh, I think Brooke might. I think she just might, right? And you know where we're going with this one, right? I need the national anthem queued up as well.
God bless America.
Brooke Shields, mind you, posed as a child in Playboy naked. Fun fact. Another reason to say,
God bless America.
oh, God's going to pour his spirit out on this nation. A young Brooke seen here with, I don't think that's Gene Simmons. That's one of the members of KISS, though. It could be Gene Simmons. Sticking out her tongue. Just like old Collie, right? The fun does not stop there, however, ladies and gentlemen. We just keep going and going and going. We just keep spiraling into the royal madness that is Occult Hollywood. Madonna. Madonna, seen here, of course, throwing 666s up over her eyeball. Hey, did it ever register to you? Remember that rap group? 3-6 Mafia. Oh. I bet it never registered when you were listening to them back then. You didn't really think about it much. Oh, good times, good times. Anyway, she is a relative of the Duchess of Cornwall, Camilla, wife of Prince Charles, right? They share a Canadian ancestor. Of course, Camilla and Prince Charles can be seen here attending one of their masquerade balls. Think Eyes Wide Shut, right? You know, I sometimes have I have a Christian friend, actually, who I've been trying to kind of open the eyes of a bit, but they kind of resist me all the time. And I think it's because of this.
God bless America.
They resist it. So when I point out the symbolism on, say, the money, well, they go and find themselves some pastor online who talks about how it's symbolic of the Trinity. And so they always kind of want to, you know, not look at these things, essentially. Here's Madonna, though. Nice jacket. Right? What are the chances? What are the chances of somebody who likes to throw 3-6s up over their eye also having an affinity for the Great Seal of the United States? Oh!
God bless, God bless America.
My heart swells with pride. Secret, she's got a secret. I need to put that in my queue as well. The vow of silence, sign of Harpocrates, the mistaken interpretation of the child Horus sucking his thumb, which now has just become a universal symbol of occult Hollywood and occultists everywhere worldwide, because your world is just entirely mad. Your world has entered.
It is an area which we call the Twilight Zone.
Madonna also likes to throw up the hidden hand of a free Mason. And that doesn't necessarily mean that she's in the Order of the Eastern Star. There are many, many, many occult secret societies that anyone can join. Well, not anyone. Usually you have to be invited. And as we can see here, there's a good chance you might even need to have certain blood in you. Either way, though, most of these secret societies, if not all, are derivatives of Freemasonry. And so their signs and symbols are going to be universal and the same. Fun fact. Madonna, could you tell us a little bit about yourself, please?
If you vote for Hillary Clinton, I will give you a blowjob. Okay? Swear to God.
No.
Stresses me out. I don't self-medicate. I have to face it straight on. I have to embrace the pain.
You want to put your eye patch on them?
Yes, I do.
God bless America.
Half of this other world just makes it all beautiful.
Madam X, everyone, who likes to wear the eye patch. Did you know by any chance that the old school Knights Templar who worshipped Baphomets, which they called the decapitated heads of John the Baptist, went underground and became pirates on the high seas for quite a while? Think Jolly Roger. Oh, I forgot to do it. Madonna apparently wants to show off her royal connections with the leopard print. Right? Also ignore the fact that she is hypersexual, offering to please anyone who might vote for a particular candidate. And again, here she is. She's at the boot, by the way, in this shoot of Katy Perry. Katy Perry, and she's wearing the little leopard print glove, and also there's more symbolism here. Eye of Horus, one-eyed symbolism as usual. Here she is again. This old photo gets a little racier too. Again, so you got like sexual connotations being conveyed, as well as it being a ripe occult symbolism. Who do we have next? And before we do that,
Is this real life?
yes. Yep. It sucks. Sorry, bud. We have Tilda Swinton, seen here, of course, doing a very artistic rendition of the Eye of Horus for us all. Hey, Tilda. We were all wondering why it was you're famous, weren't you, out there? Well, it could be because she is a descendant of the former King of the Scots, Robert the Bruce. Hey! Here's Tilda taking her yearly Hollywood occult eye exam for us. Here she is again, doing the sign of Harpocrates, the vow of silence. She keeps the secrets. She would never dare divulge them. She's just here to mislead the masses like the rest of them. To return our world to a purely pagan existence and to destroy Christianity. Or perhaps to bring about what Aleister Crowley liked to call Crowleyanity. She's doing a little, it's like a karate chop over her eyeball. And of course, she's here on the Masonic checkerboard. Again, for the benefit of those who don't know what the heck I'm talking about, on the floor of every Masonic temple across the world is this particular checkerboard pattern. It represents duality, and the Masons and occultists believe that they can create a whole man or woman by allowing both to live in harmony with one another, as opposed to the Christian perspective of the world, where we do not want to sin. Evil is an abomination, right? For them, you know, You practice you do a little charity on the weekends to balance out your hedonism and murder throughout the week, you know. Very attractive, very seductive. Spirituality, as we'd call it.
God bless America.
And if you think I'm reaching with the checkerboard floor, well, here she is doing the sign of fidelity that would be native to a Freemason. Think your Pledge of Allegiance. Think of that. And if you think I'm reaching there, at what point are you going to come out of denial if you're sitting there saying, oh, this is just ridiculousness? You know, he's making all these things up. Or, can I put my hands anywhere? Is there nothing I can do with my hands anymore? Hiding her hand. Master of the second veil. Hidden hand of a free Mason. You know, I can't, there's no way to make this easier for a person to see. And so, if you have watched a few of these, and you still can somehow walk away as though not impressed, nothing to see, you want to believe a lie. Let's just keep it real. You want to believe in a lie. Who's next? Who's next? Oh, remember Bradgelina, I think was their name. Brad and Angelina. Angelina Jolie, seen here with the red bracelet of a Kabbalah practitioner, if I can speak, is a descendant of Philip II of France. Who'd have guessed that? Here's Philip, looking very regal in his pose. I can see the family resemblance a little bit. Anyway, here's Angelina in another context. Remember when she French kissed or passionately kissed her brother? Remember when that was a controversial thing? You ever heard about royal family inbreeding and such? I have. Here she is again. Covering up her eyeball. Oh, I love this world. Love it. Love it so much. Don't you? Don't you? Man. So this must have been looks like maybe Tomb Raider, a promo for Tomb Raider. They just love to insert the symbolism everywhere, as often as they can, and wouldn't be complete without leopard print and the sign of Osiris Risen. A double whammy for you. Oh, man.
It's all there, black and white, clear as crystal.
Thank you, Gene Wilder. I agree with you, sir. She may or may not be an illustrious member of the group who likes to walk upon and perform their rituals on a particular floor pattern, seen here at a Ben & Jerry's. Remember, did you ever hear those fun stories about how Jerry Garcia was in the CIA and helping to distribute LSD to the masses, right? And how Ken Kesey of the Merry Pranksters, who used to follow the dead around, just happened to, a funny story. He just happened to participate in Stanford University's MK Ultra tests, as well as Robert Hunter, the Grateful Dead's lyricist. Nothing to see here, folks. Nothing to see here at all. Well, if you wondered about that, here she is on the cover of Esquire magazine, throwing up just like Tilda Swinton, just like others we're going to see today, the hidden hand of a Freemason. What's that, Mac Miller?
I greet the devil with a smiling face. Shit, the God fellow may reside in space. As time's a wasting, I'm freebasing with Freemasons.
I don't know if you noticed that there too. He also did the Anjali Mudra, which we've covered plenty. Namaste. He greets the devil, though. That's interesting. Then he's freebasing with Freemasons. Men and women of high moral character. Very high. Devil horns. Oh, you know it. You know it's coming. Oh, you know it's coming. Oh, yes, Angelina Jolie. Seen here in the leopard print yet again. Gosh, I wonder if there's any. Remember that bizarre relationship she had with Billy Bob Thornton? Where they had, what did they have? They had like vials of each other's blood. I want to say on a necklace or on a ring that they wore. Billy Bob Thornton's a sweetheart, by the way. And then we have this, and you're thinking, you're sitting there perhaps scratching your head saying like, come on. What's this? Why is this in here? You know? You're taking a little liberty here, bud. Well, it's actually Edvard Munch's famous depiction, The Scream, which is bizarre too. Like, the story behind this painting is that, like, apparently Munch was sitting somewhere near a slaughterhouse and paints this thing as basically like a symbolic of like the scream of murder. Okay. Now, Edvard Munch, seen here, this is a self-portrait of him, was an occultist. He was actually a member of the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, a prestigious group that ceremonial magician who we've covered, Aleister Crowley, was also a member. You know? Oh. It's a nightmare. Nightmare. They all do it. I started to see this early on in the research, and you would, there's certain things that you would see over and over again, but you ignored them. You're like, well, I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is. And finally, I started to learn in my research of this bizarre cult, that you might, when you see it, grab it. If you see it a couple times, absolutely grab it and start cataloging it, because you're going to, and it may be another month or 2 months down the line when you finally put together exactly what it is they might be doing. Again, that's Aleister Crowley. This is the guy we keep talking about. The Beast 666 himself, who everybody in the modern day occult seems to admire and respect. There's that that talk that Grant Morrison, DC comic, Batman writer and stuff, gave, where he was talking about, like, it turns out if you do the things that Crowley talked about, and Anton Wilson, who was also a follower of Crowley, things happen exactly as it's described. Imagine that. The demons come through in this life. They reward you in a flesh-based sense. Grant Morrison also talked about how he communicates with aliens. I'm sure they looked a little bit like Crowley's Aiwas or Lamb. Who's next? This is an interesting one. Who's next? We're getting through this pretty quickly. May not be an hour and a half after all. Well, next, it's Uma Thurman of Kill Bill and Pulp Fiction, snorting coke and killing people. Uma, through her mother, is a descendant of Edward I of England. Right? So here's Edward I of England. So she has royal ties. And here's her mother, by the way. Let's do this. She was a fashion model by the name of Nina von Schlegbrug. I'm probably butchering that. So that's her mother. And you may say, well, why are you including that photo? I've noticed the theme of what you're doing. Well, do you think they just took it because they wanted to show her getting out of a taxi? Or because it was They maybe wanted to do that, but they wanted to choose for the photo shoot a taxi that just so happens to have that classic checkerboard theme. And why do I say that? Well, she's seen here in the leopard print, which we've seen over and over and over again.
I am the leopard print, I Lucifer uses leopard print, I Lucifer uses for I can see.
Good times, good times. Anyway, let's look at Uma a little bit. Oh, that looks nice. Not creepy at all. Nope.
Is this real life?
Again, Eye of Horus. Covering up her eyeball for the optometry exam. As we've gone over before in this series, Hollywood celebrities confuse photographers for optometrists regularly. And one can only have sympathy for them. Because clearly that's why they're doing it. It's because they have bad eyesight and they see the photographer. And anyway. Oh, by the way, the pose that we showed earlier, that weird unknown pose, right? Here's Uma doing it as well. Hands behind your back. Don't move, Uma. And then here she is crossing her fingers and you think, oh, well, that's nothing. Come on. Means she's about to tell a lie or whatever. Actually, there was a doctor, a psychologist in Psychology Today who I was reading. It was an unrelated blog post that he wrote, but in it, and I'd love for other people to maybe send me some more material on this, but he made like kind of like a side mention of how witches will cross their fingers to display to one another literally their demonic powers. I think his name was Bernie Siegel was the name. I might have got that wrong. But I'd have to go back and look at, there's just so much stuff to remember and such. Which was weird. It was kind of like in the context of an article about something completely unrelated, but they threw that in there because I guess if I remember right, it just kind of randomly came up in the article. And also there's a kind of an obscure resource that I found on the web. That seems to be written by like a solo practitioner of Thelema, kind of like a little book helping people to practice Thelemite hand mudras. And this is likely the X. I don't know if you know anything about Crowley's system of magic, but they got like this LVX obsession, right? And so you'll see them a lot of times doing like a mudra, making an L with their hand. And then of course you might make you think a little differently about like the classic peace sign sometimes, which is clearly not, well, it is what we've been thinking it is. But once you come to knowledge of the truth, who is Jesus Christ, of course, you see all this false peace and promise for what it really is. And then this is the X, mudra in that too. And like in this book, he's describing it as like, bringing about demons. So you may think we're talking about just absolutely insane stuff here on this channel, and we are, but it doesn't make it any less real. I mean, you're a man or a woman out there with muscles and a skeleton who walks around and like just arrived here one day. And you think you know the truth, and that somebody like me is just making weird claims, right? This is a weird experience. Human life is a bizarre journey. And there's a lot more to everything than meets the eye. So Uma 2, right? My little leopard print girl. Right? Nina, her mother, by the way, just this like sort of side topics here. But she was actually married from 1964 to 1965 to Timothy Leary, who can be seen here on the far right. And Timothy Leary, of course, here he is throwing up 3 6s, was kind of like Jerry Garcia and Ken Kesey and Robert Hunter, instrumental in distributing LSD to the masses in the 1960s and 70s and 80s. I think he was in one of Cheech and Chong's movies. Just a counterculture icon, godfather of Winona Ryder, all in the family, right?
I'm just carrying on an old family tradition.
And we've all seen this video before, but just in case you're new to all this stuff.
Well, I've been an admirer of Aleister Crowley. I think that I'm carrying on much of the work that he started over 100 years ago, and I think the 60s themselves. You know, Crowley said, "Do what thou wilt, shall be the whole of the law."
So Timothy Leary was a follower of Aleister Crowley. He actually believed himself to be Crowley's reincarnation. Not joking here. But Nina, I guess, saw the light, and then she found her next love of her life, who was Vajrayana Buddhist Robert Thurman, scholar on Tibetan Buddhism, seen here with the Dalai Lama. And the Dalai Lama is, of course, a practitioner of Vajrayana Buddhism, which is, with some caveats and exceptions, largely Vajrayana Buddhism, Tibetan Buddhism, Vajrayana Buddhism. And it's Tantra, which we're going to go over here in a little bit. But here's her dad. I remember when I was, because some of you are familiar with my testimony, like I had been a practicing Buddhist for 15 years or so. And I read his book. Well, I never really got through it because it was called Essential Tibetan Buddhism. Because it was just dry, but also I think within the first chapter, I was lost. I mean, it's just deity after deity and all this stuff. And obviously probably the reason why I found it boring and couldn't understand it is because I wasn't an initiate. And, it's going to sound like garbled nonsense to anyone who doesn't go through all that. Dalai Lama here with Gene Simmons, and that is, I can't remember their name. That's some politician there on the right. They love you. They're Helen Keller fans. Gene Simmons. Knights in service of Satan, or Satan's service. Right? Like, I can't distinguish anymore. You can't expect me at this point in the research to just treat some people with kids' gloves and say, oh no, well, not that person, right? So when we see it, I offer it to you to consider, right? You know? So let's hear a little bit about Tantric Buddhism from this guy named E.A. Coating, who has a channel on here about basically becoming your own god. He's clearly a Satanist. And he's talking to this guy he describes as, or at least who is introduced in the video as a tantric sorcerer, by the name of Courtney Klein.
Hey guys, this is E.A. Coetting. I'm here with Courtney. Now, you know, I get a lot of really interesting emails, sent, forwarded to me from the help desk. You know, we've got kind of a whole staff that helps keep Become a Living God going. And one of them came across my desk that had the title, The Dark Hand of Tibet. And it was really just a short introductory email about basically a Tibetan master that was walking the left-hand path. And the impression I got, Courtney, is that you are working on a regular basis with somebody that does what I think normal people would call, miracles. He does the miraculous in front of you is kind of what I picked up. I mean, is that accurate, or is that an exaggeration? Or
yeah, no, this dude is got to be seen to be believed. I've been training now with him for about 4 years, and the big thing I've noticed, the difference between him and all the other stuff I've done is it is absolutely instant.
So, even though a lot of Buddhists are in denial about all this, there is a left-hand path of Buddhism. It's like the good witch and the bad witch, right? It's magically based. Let's just keep it real. Like Vajrayana Buddhism, Tantra is magic, right? And so you'll find it in Hinduism, you'll find it in Buddhism, you'll find it in Japan in the Shingon temples, right? Where they do a lot of these practices to a, what's his name? It's not Mahakala. What was the name of that demon? It's literally a demon within Buddhist cosmology. I can't remember. Like when I was involved in all these studies and stuff, like I would have been able to just rattle it off, but I can't remember the name of the particular like fire demon. Fudu. I believe it's Fudu. Fudu. And, there's a lot of magical practices in that as well. I used to run a Buddhist website, and, it was pretty well known over here, covering basically the Zen Buddhist tradition in the West. And I would run into these occultists a lot. I wasn't aware that I myself, I would never have described like my practice as like a cult. So I was unaware of like just what I was involved in anyway. And so I'd always be scratching my head because I believed in this thing, it's known as Mahayana Buddhism. And I believed in the Mahayana ideal, which is that sentient beings are numberless. I vow to save them all, essentially. And I basically summed all of Buddhism up as that. And I actually never understood the Vajrayana Buddhists because I'm sorry, that's wrong. Theravadan Buddhists, because they had a much different outlook on things. And Vajrayana Buddhism, I knew hardly anything about, just because it was so secretive and so esoteric, and it was sort of in a realm unto itself, really. They never, they had a much different flavor than at that time us Zen guys, right, and women. But I met a lot of occultists, literally people that describe themselves as left-hand path practitioners, just as you heard there. And if you don't know what that means, within magic, you can take either the left-hand path, which is basically seen as, you can just summarize that as evil, dark, black magic stuff, or the right-hand path, which is white magic, doing good for others, that kind of benevolent, which is a lie. I mean, the moment you start dabbling in any of that kind of stuff, you can lie and tell yourself that like what you're doing is beneficial for the world, but there's always going to be a caveat, because what you're dabbling in cluelessly is the stuff of the spirit realm, demonic in nature. And then I find this interesting too, just to kind of draw the parallel between Buddhism, Tibetan specifically. In Zen, we talked about rebirth and reincarnation and stuff like that, but not much at all, and like generally didn't even hold it in much esteem. But like in Tibetan Buddhism especially, it's very important. It's just interesting to see the connection to Jewish Kabbalah.
Across the globe, over 1.5 billion people believe in reincarnation, including nearly all Eastern philosophies, as well as the Kabbalistic sect of Judaism.
Tibetans, we believe rebirth. All the sentient beings are rebirth.
A lie.
Rebirth is unlimited. It's not beginning. It already exists. Our body is a vessel of the consciousness. And when the consciousness travels to the next form, that's your vessel. You don't necessarily get rebirth. The human being, it's rebirth. Animals, any sentient beings.
In the Kabbalistic tradition of Judaism, reincarnation is considered a fundamental belief.
This is how you know they've strayed so far away from God's word.
Which believe you have only one lifetime in which to get it right. In the Kabbalistic tradition, it is believed that souls are given multiple chances to get it right. So souls are believed to reincarnate time after time.
I fail to remember reading that in any of the Old Testament, the Torah, or in the Bible at all. As a matter of fact, Paul in Hebrews directly contradicts this. And that's how you know it's a lie. And also it starts to make you say, like, if you're being intellectually honest anyway, well, what is modern day Judaism minus Jesus Christ? You know, who is the truth? Well, now not every Jew is a Kabbalist. But yeah, and Paul writes, and just as it is appointed for a man to die once, and after that comes the judgment. You know, that's it. Johnny Depp, seen here doing the sign of Osiris risen. Well, he also is a descendant of King Edward III. Who would have guessed it? Which makes his daughter, Lily Rose, also royalty. Or at least an ancestor, or not an ancestor, a descendant of royalty. You starting to see a theme here, everybody? Right? So here he is throwing up 3 6s over his eye. Covering up half his face because he's at the eye doctor. Covering his mouth. Silence. It's basically an artistic Harpocrates. Unless you had doubts about whether or not Johnny Depp might or might not be a Freemason, well, here he is on the cover of Rolling Stone, hiding his hand. Oh, hiding his hand.
God bless, God bless America.
Oh. You may remember, and we've talked about this plenty of times in the past, that Johnny Depp was instrumental, along with Henry Rollins, around with Natalie Maines, the Dixie chick, as well as Winona Ryder, who we just talked about, who's the niece, or the goddaughter, not niece, goddaughter of Timothy Leary, who's dead. Eddie Vedder of Pearl Jam was instrumental in getting this young man out of prison, who was one of the infamous West Memphis Three. And you may remember who they are.
Today marks the 5-year anniversary of a West Memphis murder case that gained national attention. The bodies of 3 second graders, Stephen Branch, Christopher Byers, and Michael Moore, were found mutilated in a ditch. Now, one of the 3 men convicted for the murders, Damian Eccles, has prompted a hearing to try to get his conviction thrown out.
4 years ago, an Arkansas jury found him guilty of murdering 3 second graders in a horrific, ritualistic sacrifice.
Police theorize the murders had been part of a satanic ritual.
Right? So Depp and these celebrities came along with a lot of money and basically lobbied to get these men out of prison. And then DNA evidence, as well as the lobbying, let's keep it real, it was the lobbying, exonerated these young men. But I'm sorry, maybe you're skeptical too. Like, I don't believe in our system of justice. You know, that Freemason Dr. Conrad Murray got a slap on the hand when Michael Jackson died. Many people believe that Jeffrey Epstein is off somewhere drinking pina coladas elsewhere in the world. And we've seen over and over again how our system of justice is very corrupt, essentially. And there are strings that can be pulled in very high places. And you can't make the argument that strings were not being pulled in very high places. But Johnny Depp was certain.
DNA evidence and Johnny Depp, the three convicts you're about to meet, had
he was
both
innocent
on their side. And that proved to be enough to set them free from prison today.
How can you be absolutely sure that these three men are innocent?
If there was the tiniest sliver of doubt, I wouldn't be sitting here.
I wouldn't say I drank blood. A lick.
That was Damien Eccles when he was in prison being interviewed. He didn't drink blood. He licked, right? Now here's
You're uncomfortable
the inspector
talking about what actually transpired in that investigation. Why is that?
There is a wealth of money supporting the West Memphis Three.
Yeah. Now, Damien had a lifelong goal since childhood of becoming a magician.
When I was a child, I loved magic. And I would say to myself, I'm going to be the greatest magician there's ever been. And I had no idea that meant I would have 20 years to sit alone in a prison cell and practice and study.
And he did. And today, Damien travels throughout lecture circuits, teaching others in high magic. And you notice that in this case, magic is spelled with a K at the end, which indicates that he's teaching a form of Crowleyan magic, because that was Crowley's unique way of writing it. So he's fulfilled his lifelong dream, right? And you think about it too, it's like, man, he had a lot during that 20 years in prison. He had a lot of time to devour more books and literature, and to basically, that's probably how he got out. Kind of almost like Houdini style. I'm sure he was doing a lot of rituals up there on death row. Here he is doing the sign of a super excellent master mason. And he's doing it again. Right here. And just like Johnny Depp, I guess he's keeping the secret as well. Right? It's time to snap out of it. You know? This right here.
That old black magic, black magic.
It's real, man. It's real. If you're a Christian and you doubt these things, read Exodus again. Believe it. Digest it. Come to an understanding that this stuff happens and has been happening since time immemorial. I've talked to Christians they're like, I read passages about demon, but does it really exist? It's like, why are you a Christian if you can't even believe in the foundational documents of our faith? How is that even a question? And the answer is, people have been brainwashed. People have been brainwashed by folks like Eartha Kitt.
I wanna go to the devil, I wanna be evil.
They hear this stuff, they sing about it all the time. It just goes right over their head. You know? It's been the witches of Hollywood, interestingly enough, that have convinced everyone that God is dead and magic and witchcraft are not real. Satanic panic. Forget about it. Here's how Damien feels about you. Thanks, Damien. Who do we have next? Oh, yes. George Bush and his brother Jeb, are 11th cousins of the late Princess Diana. George Walker Bush, son of George Herbert Walker Bush, both members of Yale's prestigious Skull and Bone Society, right? That guy. Just so happens to also be royalty. Huh. And he also is like America's royalty, ruling our land. Oh, gosh. But we call him president. It should be a little suspect to folks, right? When like a man and his son win the lottery to rule the country. And then when a man and then his wife almost grabs the scepter. Bill and Hillary. You're telling me out of this entire nation that those are the people? Next is Donnie Darko's Jake Gyllenhaal, and his sister Maggie, right? Jake of, again, Donnie Darko and Brokeback Mountain. Two lovely contributions to our society. We'd like to thank you for your work on the betterment of humanity. Speaking to demon rabbits in human form, which just seems to be something embraced. Donnie Darko is a favorite of the occultists, just so you know. Anyway, they are a descendant of, as well, you guessed it, King Edward II. Not the second, the third of England. Now, Maggie can be seen here. In the leopard print. The leopard print, ladies and gentlemen. I am the leopard print. Right? Isn't that telling? I played that twice now. That's a group, and that's a picture of them showing the whites of their eyes, and they're throwing up all kinds of Illuminati symbolism, and all their lyrics are satanic. Writing about they've written in several songs about the leopard print or leopards specifically. That's a very odd lyric, wouldn't you say? I think so. Maggie can also be seen wearing the Masonic checkerboard theme that we've been going over. Nothing really new under the sun, guys. Seen here doing the vow of silence, and also, beyond that, one eye symbolism. The Eye of Horus, just like her brother Jakey. Yet again. Can you see, tell me what row, Jake, you can read, and read them off to me. Okay? Which line until you struggle? Don't you worry. We're going to get you a good prescription here soon, son. Creepy. Creepy. Jake Gyllenhaal has been very successful. So successful that he's putting up the sign of success. Oh, Jake. Jake.
God
And if you thought maybe his sister Maggie was just by chance wearing that checkerboard theme, something might be running in the family or not, well, Napoleon Bonaparte style as well. Hidden hand of a Freemason, right? That about covers it. How long have we been at this today? How long has this been going? A little short of an hour and a half. Not bad. We're making good timing. So I hope you guys found that educational. Maybe it helped affirm for you the things that you've been learning of late. I'm hoping. There will be a part 2 to this particular series because there's a lot more people to cover. And it's actually a fascinating subject, in my opinion, showing that a lot of these people who are promoted to us are literally descendants of royal bloodlines, right? And they just also so happen to be throwing up all these occult gang signs all the time. Please ignore the will begin streaming shortly part of this message. We'll come back after the song plays and just basically say sayonara and maybe answer anything that might have been in the chat.
He who dwells in the shelter of the Most High will find rest in the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge, my God and my shield, in whom I trust. Surely He will save you from the foulest snare and from the deadly pestilence as well. He will cover over you with His feathers, and there under His wings you will find peace, and His faithfulness will be your shield. You'll not fear the terror of the nighttime, nor the arrow that flies by day, nor the pestilence that stalks in the darkness, nor the plague that destroys at midday. 1,000 may fall at your side, 10,000 may fall at your right hand, it will not come near you. You will only see, you will only observe when judgment comes. For He commands His angels concerning you to guard you wherever you may go, to be with you and lift you in their hands, so that you won't strike your foot against a stone. Well, if you make the Most High your dwelling, even the Lord who is my refuge, and surely no great harm will befall you, no disaster will come there near commands his angels concerning you to guard you wherever you may go, to be with you and lift you in their hands, so that you won't strike your foot against a stone. You will tread upon the lion and the cobra, and trample upon the serpent's head. You will tread upon.
All right, a couple people had asked about moderators. I guess maybe today's chat had a lot of weirdness in it. I do have a few moderators. They're not always here, and hopefully you can appreciate maybe it's not always easy to figure out who one might want to trust with that kind of role. So I'll think about it, but I just recommend if you find somebody that's offensive or bothering folks in chat to just block them so that you don't see what they're saying anymore. Beyond that, somebody asked in the chat or whether other people had folks in their family who, when you show this stuff to them, they say that's Photoshop. My immediate family sees all of this. My extended family, however, they've seen it. I mean, I've shown them some of the evidence, but they make a lot of excuses. I showed one to one of my uncles, all the stuff, and one of them was like Uttara Bodhi Mudra, and like he did it with his hands real quick and kind of was like, well, I kind of can do that sometime. He was kind of like testing it out and convincing himself, well, he might do that sometimes when he's thinking about something, or so people just kind of go into denial mode. But if anybody has the patience, which sadly a lot of people do not have, to just spend time looking at the research of folks like myself and others have been doing, and to just look at the evidence for what it is with an open mind, you can't walk away. You have to go into denial, to step back away from it and say there's nothing there. The onus is on them. To those of you who are skeptical, or to those of you who think this is all just conspiracy theory nut jobs, it's really on you, you know? And I encourage you to look at that within yourself to see why it is that you can't see what is so blatantly obvious and staring you right in the face. With that, guys, God bless you all in Jesus' mighty name. We're going to end this broadcast. Until next time, you guys have a blessed day.